Welcome to Healing from Emotional Abuse, the award-winning podcast that sheds light on the journey from victim to survivor. I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on this empowering and healing adventure. The Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast isn't just another conversation. It's a sanctuary for those who have endured abuse and are determined to reclaim their lives. Through interviews with inspiring survivors, experts, and advocates, we aim to break the silence surrounding abuse and empower our listeners with the knowledge, support, and resources they need to break free from their past. Our mission is to provide a safe space where survivors can share their stories, find solace in knowing they're not alone, and discover the strength within themselves to heal and thrive. Each episode is filled with powerful narratives, practical strategies, and compassionate guidance to help you overcome the lingering effects of abuse and build a brighter future. It brings me immense joy to announce that the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast has been honored with the prestigious Purple Ribbon Award for Outstanding Domestic Violence Podcasts by DomesticShelters.org, recognizing our commitment to raising awareness about abuse and offering hope to survivors worldwide. We have hit top 10% globally and top podcast in 25 countries. This accolade is a testament to the incredible guests who have shared their stories and the tremendous support from our devoted listeners. Thank you so much. Whether you're a survivor seeking healing, a friend or family member wanting to understand and support, or an advocate dedicated to creating a safer world, this podcast is for you. Our conversations delve into topics such as emotional, physical, financial, and psychological abuse, recovery techniques, self-care strategies, legal rights, and much, much more. Join us as we embark on this transformative journey together. Subscribe to Healing from Emotional Abuse on your favorite podcast platform. And remember, your story matters, and you have the power to break your silence from the chains of abuse. I'm your host, Marissa F. Cohen, and this is Healing from Emotional Abuse. Let's reclaim our lives and empower one another. Welcome back to the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast. I'm your host, Marissa, and I first want to start off by apologizing. This podcast has been going for about 5 years, actually 5.5 now, but I took about a 2-year hiatus because I got really into speaking and was traveling all the time. It became really hard to manage. And so the podcast fell by the wayside. So for everyone listening, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to completely desert you. I'm still here for you. I'm still an advocate and a survivor, and I'm still talking about relationships and abuse and sexual assault and trauma, just on a different medium. But then through all this journey, I met Sami. And Sami is incredible. She's an advocate. She is an outspoken supporter of survivors, and she has been really helpful to me along my speaking journey, keeping me organized and just being an incredible person. And we had a conversation a few weeks ago where we discussed her coming on to co-host the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast. And I'm so excited to introduce you to our co-host of the Healing from Emotional Abuse podcast, Sami. Welcome on, Sami. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce, yourself to our listeners.
Awesome. Yeah. So my name's Sami Litchert. I started out in higher education, worked through there. I don't really know where to go from that. I did my higher ed trips, and then I took a step out and I worked in a leadership company for a few years. And that's where I actually met Marissa. That's where then one thing led to another. And now I get to see her almost every week, which is wonderful. And now we're here helping out.
Thank you so much, Sami. It's so nice to be able to do this with you and get to know you more. I know you pretty well, I think. Being able to introduce you to our listeners. And so I would love to talk to you about relationships because the theme of this podcast is relationships. We talk about toxic and abusive relationships. I want to focus on healthy relationships as well and the trauma of sexual violence and things like that. So first and foremost, you had a really exciting summer, right? It's August right now. You've had a very exciting summer. Do you want to maybe share your exciting summer news?
I did have a great summer. So for everyone who's listening, this past 4th of July, Anton, who is my partner, has asked me to marry him. And I said, yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. And I want to say it's just wonderful, to be honest. It was an amazing opportunity to be able to actually have my own proposal because I've always been there for other people's. And then for him to get down on one knee and then to make it just so heartfelt. We were camping. There was nobody around. And for anyone who knows me, I'm always surrounded by people, whether I want to or not. It was just the two of us. It was amazing.
That's awesome. And Anton, I've met him a couple of times and he's wonderful. And I'm so happy for you guys. So you can speak from a healthy relationship perspective because you have incredible communication. You guys respect each other so much and you're so supportive of each other. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to see, a situation to be able to see from a third party outsider, especially as a relationship person where my whole world revolves around talking about and experiencing and hearing all these horrible relationship stories. It's so nice to be able to truly see a really healthy and awesome relationship. So give us a little bit of background about how y'all met and the last few years of your relationship.
That I love talking about. It's the fun fact that I almost gave up on dating, so I didn't have the best history of dating, but I want to keep the positive going. Anton and I actually met on Facebook dating right when I was about to give up. And the reason why I went to Facebook dating is I just felt like trying to date in real life, unfortunately, just was not working out. I was too busy. I worked 3 jobs at the time, but the beautiful story is when Anton and I met, we went out, we did a cute little coffee date. I have never met a more gentleman-like person. And it's just who he is. He portrayed himself amazingly. Something that I have a lot of anxiety and whatnot. It took forever to get over when I went to go meet Anton. So the fact that I was extremely nervous, I know that I was tongue twisted, but the whole time he was just phenomenal. And then it just grew from there. We have a lot of ups and downs, but throughout all of our ups and downs over the past 2 years, which is my longest relationship and hopefully my forever relationship now, it was phenomenal. I would say there was way more ups than downs. And the best thing that I noticed is every time that we had a little hiccup or a little bit of a down, our communication was phenomenal. It didn't matter who was upset, what the situation was. It could be silly, it could be serious. And everything that always comes down to is our communication piece. And even up to the day when I said, yes, I absolutely do want to marry you. It was funny because we had a really bad night right before that. Unpacking was horrible. Our camp hosts were horrible, but Anton and I made it fun. The two of us didn't talk to each other the whole night when we unpacked, but it was out of love. We knew that everything was, you know what, this is a crappy situation, but it's still going to be a fun time to be together. I didn't know he was going to ask me to marry him, which makes it even better. I didn't expect this for another 1.5 years at least. So just, everything in the past 2 years, there's been so many things.
That's amazing. And I think it's really funny that the whole night beforehand, you didn't talk. He was probably so nervous to propose to you then because you guys didn't talk to each other. But I think that's amazing. You said something that sparked an interest for me. So you met on Facebook dating. I've only heard of a handful of people using Facebook dating, but from the people that I know that did, it was really successful for them. Have you tried other dating sites and that were bad or had a bad experience with that? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, of course. I did Tinder. I stayed off it for the longest time. And then I just said, you know what? Heck with this, and let's just go find where the guys are. Don't do that ever. It's not the best advice. But it was, I'll say, nice to see that I found a good one out of all the bad patches. Another one I did was Bumble. I was only on that one for a little. Dating sites scared me a bit. I like the flirting part aspect of it, but the idea of talking to someone, I don't know like what their face looks like for real. Everyone can make something up. I always kept that in the back of my mind, especially with dating online. I didn't really go through too many apps, but yeah, it was definitely an experience. And I know that's where majority of life takes us today is online dating. But I know that I was very careful when I did it too. That was the other aspect.
That makes sense. I think the statistic is close to 80% of people find their partner on some website or app, like utilizing online dating now, because I think similar to what you said, life is busy, right? You had 3 jobs, you had stuff to do outside of that, you had pets, you had a life. And I think many people, especially right now, can relate to that, having to work more than one job or working crazy hours. And the idea of, and especially post-COVID, the idea of going out has really been impacted and like decreased. I was having a conversation yesterday with my family about how, now post-COVID, it's so hard for me to peel myself off the couch at the end of the day and commit to going out. I had to have a friend call me a couple days ago to invite us to go see a play tonight. Otherwise, I wouldn't leave. On a Saturday night, I'd just sit in my living room with Larry and we'd watch TV with the dogs until we fell asleep. I think that's so normal. So yeah, the prospect of online dating is so much easier because you could do it from your couch. You could do it from your house. There's no commitment, right? There's no consequence if you go meet someone who's crazy and like tries to murder you. I have an interesting story about that, if it's okay if I share.
Absolutely.
So a childhood friend of mine, I've known this kid probably since he was like 4 years old. He met his wife through online dating. She is in America through an au pair program. She's Brazilian. She came here for an au pair program, and her friends were all on like those apps, and they were just trying to meet people and make friends and date around and stuff like that. And so she matched with my friend. And when she came out to meet him the first time, she brought 4 of her girlfriends, also all from Brazil, also all from this au pair program. And at first they sat at the table with her to make sure that my friend wasn't crazy or like a lunatic. And then they moved to another table, the 4 of them, and then let these 2 have their date. And after the date, he called me and he told me about it. And I was like, that's brilliant. Because if you were a crazy person, she's from Brazil, she has no family here. And if you like were crazy and a murderer, like a serial killer, all you'd have to do, sorry, my mom just called me. All you would have to do is take her and bury her somewhere, and no one would ever know where to find her or how to find her or even that she was missing, except obviously her host parents. In this day and age, like I think that layer of protection, online dating, and especially if you're meeting someone in person for the first time, having friends there, like I think all of that is so important.
Absolutely. When I was in the dating process before meeting Anton, one of my favorite thing was it was one of my coworkers when I was still in higher ed, and that became one of my best friends. She's actually going to be at my wedding as well. She was my texting girl. So I would text her and be like, hey, I'm going on a date. So if something happens, just call me and be like, hey, there's an emergency happening. You need to come back to campus. And we would do that. And it's funny because I utilized it. There was a couple dates that I went on and I was like, oh, this person is a little too much for me. And that was the best thing. So I would just text her. It was the emoji. Everyone knows it's the blue face emoji. Go, yes. It was that emoji. So she got one of those. It was give me a call as soon as you can. If there was 3 of them, she was showing up. I never sent 3, so that was great. But I always sent that one emoji, and that was our thing. Even to this day, we still talk about it.
But how many women, right? If you're listening to this, do you have a code word with your friends or like certain people that you share your location with when you're going on a date or when you're meeting someone new? That's a safety blanket. I used to also have an SOS text. It was pineapple. I know. I would text the word pineapple and I'd get a call. Hey, someone's sick and I need you to come home or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it was a safety thing. She knew where I was and she knew how to get me out of it. So I think it's important. And I think a lot of women have that layer of protection, right? It's even in movies and TV shows where, do you want me to call you? Like the first movie that comes to mind is She's Out of Your League. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, it's such a good movie.
It's so good. But yeah, when she's on the date with Jay, whatever his name is, I don't remember. When she's on the date, her assistant calls and she ignored it. But that was like that layer of protection. I think it's crazy. But the dating world is so scary now. So you're out of it and I'm out of it, but many of the listeners here are not out of it. So what we want to focus on is what healthy relationships look like, red flags to look out for, dating advice. And we're going to have a lot of guests come on, and we have a lot of topics written down that like we really want to cover to help with the dating advice and to help with identifying abusive, unhealthy relationships. Previously on the podcast, 99% of the episodes were people sharing horror stories. And as much as I think all that's very important, I think we need to talk about the positives as well. So not only do we know what to look out for on the bad side, but we know what to expect and build that standard on the good side.
Absolutely.
So a person like you who has also had terribly adverse experiences, which we can talk about if you want to, what kind of advice do you have for our listeners who are in the dating scene or looking to get into serious relationships?
Yeah, don't stop and don't go for the first person that's, oh my goodness, let me get you flowers, let me take you here, because it's the cliche part of that. Like when it comes to like online dating and then protecting yourself, it's really weeding out the conversations, making sure you are talking on the phone, like via texting, phone calls, FaceTimes, doing that before you meet up. That was a big, huge thing for me. I've had plenty of people be like, hey, do you want to come over tonight and just hang out? Like, no, thank you. And there's nothing wrong. And if that's what somebody is interested in, there's nothing wrong with that. It's more protecting yourself and where are you really going? I will say this in like the most respectful mindset. Like I've had a very down part in my life before too. And I was like, I just don't really care and I'll do whatever. Even in that mindset, I was like, okay, but I truly do care. So it's always making sure you keep yourself in check, no matter where you are in your mental space, whether you're a very positive space or in a very negative space. Maybe you just got broken up with, or maybe something just bad just happened and you're like, I'm going to go on and I'm going to scroll and I'm going to swipe and just say yes to everybody, because people need to feel validated. They need that feeling sometimes. And even though it's a stranger validating you because we know that it's a potential dating situation, you get that validation right away. You get that exciting feeling. Now let's say, okay, I'm in this. I'm going to go hang out with this person today. There was no prep work for that. And I'm a huge believer in the prep work for online dating is extremely safety. And I'm not saying you have to go write a thesis before you go out on a date. What I'm saying is making sure, as you brought up as well, making sure someone knows your location, making sure they know where you're going on that date. And I would really highly recommend you meet each other there. Don't let this random stranger come pick you up. That's just an anxiety inducing for you in the car as well. Now you're in this car where this person's literally has your life in their hands because they're your driver.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think that's great advice. On the first date, always meet there, right? That way you have a getaway vehicle if you need it, right? They don't know where you live, so that's a safety precaution. And then like you said, when somebody is driving you around, they're in control. They get to say where you're going and when. So even in Ubers, right? Or Lyfts or taxis, like that person is in control. So just make sure you have, in general, safeguards in place. And it's so horrible to have to talk about life like that. Like as women, the fact that we always need to be on guard because of our safety is such a horrendous societal norm. But how many people, like growing up, did your mom ever tell you always cover your drink constantly, right? Because it's a safety measure, right? It's something that our mothers learned while they were growing up and instilled in us. But did she ever say that to your brothers? Because women grow up different, right? We need to be on guard all the time. Men, not so much. While it does happen to men, and I'm by no means saying that men don't get drugged and assaulted and that stuff doesn't happen. It absolutely happens to them, but it's not talked about as much and it doesn't happen as often. And so we grow up with a set of, we're always needing to be on guard. We always need to make sure we're safe. We need to have that layer or 2 or 12 of protections before we do anything. My mom has my location all the time. Does your mom have your location all the time? My mom does not have my brother's location all the time. Not because she doesn't love him as much, but because she's not as worried about him. And yeah, so I think especially with dating, like having those layers of protection, having someone know where you are, having a code word, making sure that you're staying in touch with people, like all that stuff is really important and mostly specific to women. Yeah, so I think that level of safety that you were talking about, especially with online dating, is super important. Otherwise, people go missing.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight something that you said as well.
Sure.
Going back to do they have your location, your parents or your friend? That's something that I absolutely love and value. And on the other hand of that, something I see in this day all the time is the unhealthy location sharing as well. So when people start dating, they're only in this relationship for a week or 2 weeks, like, oh, share your location so I can see where you're at. If you're like 5 minutes away. I've seen that. I've never done it, thank goodness, but I've seen that and it gets so toxic. And I don't want to switch it to the toxic part, but that's something that's extremely important to remember, because people are all like, we always have our phone. We can pinpoint someone to be exactly where they are. Anton and I, we're about to get married in a few years and he still doesn't have my location. And nothing against him and stuff. That's just not the couple that we are. But my mom and my sister and my brother, they will always have my location. Now in my relationship, if Anton asked for it, I'd be like, oh yeah, here. But that's also where communication comes in and where we text each other every day after work. He'll be like, hey babe, going to the gym. Or I'll be like, oh, cool. Hey babe, I'm gonna be working a little bit late. That's where I think, and I don't want to spiral on location, but it's a lot that I see these days, especially in the college students that I'm around daily, is they're nonstop tracking each other. One of my RAs, she showed me a location thing. She had 30 people on her location. Like, do people not respect privacy anymore? I just want to make sure that for the listeners, yes, sharing a location is extremely important. However, be very careful and choose wisely who it's shared with.
I think that's really an interesting point, because I agree. If you're in a new relationship and the person is pressuring you to share your location, that's a controlling behavior. We don't want to be controlled by our partner. We don't want it to feel like we're being watched or spied on. My husband, Larry, always has my location because I'm always traveling. I'm only home 3 months a year. So sometimes he just genuinely does not know what state I'm in. And so it's good for him to know for my safety. But I gave that to him and I feel comfortable with that. But if you're with a partner who is love bombing you, like you were saying, oh, here are flowers and gifts and I love you so much and it's only been 2 weeks, I've never felt this way before. That's love bombing. That's setting up a bad standard. That's a standard for, I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you and respect you. And now when I treat you badly, you're going to go back to this and be able to justify my bad behavior. That's love bombing. So if they're asking you for your location after a week so that they can watch you and make sure they know where you are at all times and see who you're with, that could be very problematic. That is a very toxic behavior. But only share your location with people that you feel safe and comfortable doing that with. You have your mom, your brother, and your sister because it's a safety measure, and you work about an hour away from where they live. So them knowing where you are and being able to say, oh, she's not usually over there, is everything okay? Yeah, makes you feel secure. But if
my mom has done that before, she has.
So she'll check. And I know that Life 360 specifically is very common. And like, I think with Apple Maps or something, or with Apple Contacts or something, you can share your location. Yeah.
And so Apple has it. And then the Life 360, that's what our family has, because the Life 360 is the best because you can do it between different phone types. And the cool thing with Life 360, you can also put a bubble on. So maybe I don't want my mom to know where I'm at for about 3 hours. You can put a little bubble on. It just gives like the idea location that you're in.
But that's great. And it's a great feature to have. So she can't track exactly where you are, but she knows the general vicinity.
Yes.
That's awesome. I've never used Life 360, but I've heard great things. I'm going to reach out and see if they want to sponsor this podcast.
There you go. That would be wonderful.
That would be really cool. But yeah, so I think that's really good advice. Thank you, Sami.
Of course.
I'm trying to think, what else can we talk about? I feel like over the course of the coming episodes, we're going to get to know you way more. We're going to get to talk to you, and feel free to share anything that you feel comfortable sharing. This is a very open conversational podcast. That's why I enjoy doing this. It's basically just conversations with people and friends and people in positions. And I'm generally a curious person, and I really appreciate you being here. Do you have any parting messages for your introduction to the podcast?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Marissa, for even allowing this. For the listeners, I actually was talking to Marissa a few months ago, and I said, Marissa, I love these podcasts that you do. What is going on? And then the one thing led after another, and that's how I got into here. And something that I want to say is I'm extremely grateful for you. I know that's not what the podcast is about, to give all the gratitude to the host, but just even the fact that you allowed me to come on here, to take the time to allow to do podcasts, allow me to co-host this with you. There's just the stuff that you do, the message that you send is something that I value, and I really incorporate into my life and a day-to-day thing. And you helped me stay in a healthy relationship. And it's things that you don't know that you do as Marissa that just makes me so happy and so excited. So the fact that I'm even able to do a podcast with you and help out, reach out to lives of others and just help one person is already such an honor. So thank you.
That was really sweet. Thank you so much for saying that. I'm honored to have you here, and I love your energy and everything that you give. And I'm really excited. And then future episodes are going to be a lot of fun with you. Stay tuned in, listeners. We have way more to share. Like I said, a whole list of things that we're going to talk about, and look out for our weekly episodes. And Sami, we should start an email address specifically for the podcast. So if any listeners want relationship advice or have any questions for either of us and things that we can talk about, or want to come on as a guest, you can send an email. We'll put that in the description of this episode. And thank you guys for tuning in, everyone, and we will talk to you next week.